It is known simply as Godzilla, a masterpiece of Japanese engineering born from the track, perfected on the street. With its blistering all-wheel drive system, twin-turbo power, and a digital dashboard that was decades ahead of its time, the Nissan Skyline GTR is the undisputed king of Japanese performance. Yet for decades, this machine was treated like a dangerous fugitive on North American soil. For millions of enthusiasts in the US and to a lesser extent the UK and Canada, the dream of owning a Skyline was crushed by a single powerful piece of legislation, the 25-year import rule. This is the definitive story of the legendary Skyline G2, why it was banned, the criminal conspiracy that briefly brought it here, and how a bureaucratic calendar finally set the Japanese supercar free. The official reason the Skyline GTR was illegal is mundane, yet absolute. Nissan built the car exclusively for the Japanese domestic market, the JDM. They had no intention of selling it in the US, which meant they never submitted it for federalization. In the US, any imported vehicle must adhere to two major sets of laws: Department of Transportation, for safety, and EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, for emissions. The GTR failed both. On the safety front, the Skyline lacked mandatory use-spec features. Things like standardized crash structures, reinforced side impact beams, and 5 mph bumpers. Its right-hand drive configuration, while legal in the UK and Canada, further complicated matters in the US. On the emissions side, the legendary RB26 DETT engine was simply never certified to meet America's strict smog standards, a process that requires the destruction of multiple cars for compliance testing. The 25-year rule, the Imported Vehicle Safety Compliance Act of 1988, makes non-conforming cars less than 25 years old prohibited. This law created the artificial prison for the Skyline. Part 2. The Canadian and UK loophole. To understand the pain of the US enthusiast, we must look at its neighbors. The rules in North America are not uniform. In Canada, the law is the 15-year rule. Once a car is 15 years old from its date of manufacture, it is generally exempt from federal safety and emissions regulations, making the Skyline GTR R32 legal as far back as 2004, and the coveted R34 legal since 2014. Similarly, the United Kingdom as a right-hand drive market had far fewer hurdles. While private imports still required costly IVA, individual vehicle approval, testing, the barrier to entry was exponentially lower than in the US. This discrepancy created a pressure cooker of demand in the US, where enthusiasts knew their dream car was legal just across the northern border, fueling a thriving, though often shady, gray market. Part 3. The Motorex Scandal, the true ban. The real reason the R34 became legendary for its illegality is the Motorex scandal. For a brief period in the late 1990s and early 2000s, a company called Motorex was granted permission by the NHTSA to import and modify Skylines to make them use compliant. The process: Motorex was supposed to crash test cars, develop the necessary safety modifications, and retrofit the vehicles with approved parts. They successfully achieved this for a few R33 GTR models. The deception. The scandal broke when federal authorities discovered that Motorex was abusing its status. They were importing R34s, claiming they were substantially similar to the R33, and therefore not requiring new crash tests, a claim the NHTSA later revoked. Worse, Motorex was releasing customer cars without completing the required federal modifications, making them illegal again, even though they had been issued a legal title. The aftermath. When Motorex was shut down and its owner was arrested, the federal government, specifically the Department of Transportation, was deeply burned. They seized and crushed numerous Skylines imported through the company. Part 4. The show or display loophole. While the average enthusiast waited, a wealthy few found a temporary loophole: the show or display exemption. This law allows vehicles of historical or technological significance to be imported, provided they adhere to strict limitations. For cars like the rare R34 V-Spec 2NR, this meant they could legally enter the US. The catch? The owner had to sign an affidavit promising to limit the car to 2,500 miles per year, and that mileage was primarily for transport to car shows and events. It was a legal way to own a Skyline but not truly drive it. This exemption, often exploited by the ultra-rich, only intensified the car's forbidden mystique for the wider JDM community. A story of the Skyline GTR in America is a collision between speed, law, and criminality. It was a ban born not just of safety standards but of political will and the consequences of a fraudulent importer. But time, as they say, marches on. In 2024, the calendar finally turned 25 years since the first R34 rolled off the line. This momentous date marked the official, irreversible, legal release of the Skyline GTR to U.S. roads, bypassing all previous safety and emissions hurdles. The legend is now legal. Godzilla has been freed from the 25-year prison, proving that for some forbidden fruit, you simply need patience and a very precise calendar. Which forbidden icon should we cover next? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Hidden Wheels as we continue to unlock the secrets of automotive history.